How to spur people on to success. Pete Barlow was an old friend of mine. He had a dog and pony act and spent his life traveling with circuses and vaudeville shows. I love to watch Peter train new dogs for his act. I noticed that the moment a dog shows the slightest improvement, Pete patted and praised him and gave him meat and made a great to-do about it. That's nothing new. Animal trainers have been using the same techniques for centuries. Why, I wonder, don't we use the same common sense when trying to change people that we use when trying to change dogs? Why don't we use meat instead of a whip? Why don't we use praise instead of condemnation? Let us praise even the slightest improvement. That inspired the other person to keep on improving. In his book, I Ain't Much Baby, But I'm All I Got, the psychologist Jesse Lower comments, praise is like sunlight to the warm human spirit. We cannot flower and grow without it. And yet, while most of us are only too ready to apply to others the cold winds of criticism, we are somehow reluctant to give our fellow the warm sunshine of praise. When Mr. Roper was informed of the situation, he personally went over to the print shop and had a talk with a young man. He told him how pleased he was with the work he had just received and pointed out it was the best work he had seen produced in that shop for some time. He pointed out exactly why it was superior and how important the young man's contribution was to the company. Do you think this affected that young printer's attitude toward the company? Within days, there was a completely turnabout. He told several of his co-workers about the conversation and how someone in the company really appreciated good work. And from that day on, he was a loyal and dedicated worker. What Mr. Roper did was not just flatter the young printers and say, "You are good." He specifically pointed out how his work was superior because he had singled out a specific accomplishment rather than just making general flattering remarks. His praise became much more meaningful to the person to whom it was given. Everybody likes to be praised, but when praise is specific, it comes across as sincere, not something the other person may be saying just to make one feel good. Remember, we all crave appreciation and recognition, and we all do almost anything to get it, but nobody wants insincerity. Nobody wants flattery. Let me repeat. The principle taught in this book will work only when we come from the heart. I'm not advocating a bag of tricks. I'm talking about a new way of life. Talk about changing people. If you and I will inspire the people with whom we come in contact to a realization of the hidden treasure they possessed, we can do far more than change people. We can literally transform them. Exaggeration? Then listen to these sage words from William James, one of the most distinguished psychologists and philosophers America has ever produced. Compared with what we ought to be, we are only half awake. We are making use of only a small part of our physical and mental resources. Stating the thing broadly, the human individual thus lives far within his limits. He possesses powers of various sorts, which he habitually fails to use. Yes, you who are reading these lines possess powers of various sorts, which you habitually fail to use. And one of these powers you are probably not using to the fullest extent is your magic ability to praise people and inspire them with a realization of their latent possibility. Abilities wither under criticism, they blossom under encouragement. To become a more effective leader of people, apply Principle 6. Praise the slightest improvements and praise every improvement. Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise.